So one of the things that we've noticed is that, historically security used to be about signatures. So have you seen it before, and can you find it again, and therefore resolve it? That was possible because the nature of the attack was much bigger, and it tended to be more obvious. Whereas these days, malware is designed to target a very low number of companies. So instead of attacking 100,000 individuals, it's targeting between 5 and 1. So what we need to be able to do is to not perhaps just pick up on the obvious and resolve it. We're starting to look at behaviors. And as part of that, the two key behaviors are network navigation, so moving between different environments, and we need to be able to pick up things coming into an environment or going out of an environment, and both are very important. So if, for example, there was an attack against a web server, you've got to think about not just the layer 3, am I allowing or disallowing the network traffic? You've got to think about the application aspects, because that connection may be perfectly valid, but what it's trying to then do on the web page is to use a user ID or some cross-site scripting or some other way of attacking the application. So network traffic in is important. Looking at what's actually happening on the desktop or the server is equally as important, because the malware or the attacker is going to try and change something in order to leap from there to somewhere else. So it might be getting on to pick up user credentials to use those to move somewhere else, or it might be dropping a payload on to introduce a compromise or an executable, or changing a registry entry. So the way that you have to protect has to address network challenges and also the classic kind of on host. Typically people would put anti-malware on, but that's only looking at a specific vector, whereas what you really want to do is to look at the behavior of things on the host. Is something changing? Has something changed size? Has an extra service started? And then that's when you can then look at the outbound traffic to say, has an email server been put on there as a little tiny Linux-based email service? And that's going to start beaconing out, saying, here's some data that I want to shift out. So the anatomy of attack means that you can no longer just rely on the perimeter. You've got to think about bringing the security in much more closely to the thing that you're protecting, and there's two elements to it. One is the kind of application in the host, and the other is the data.